maybe pride, the way I handled it. When you go through it, maybe it's just me, but I think it's most people, you just do it. You know, you have an end goal, living, surviving, whatever method works, I guess, and you just tackle it. And so it's this extreme sense of purpose, like epic sense of purpose that nowadays I only wish I could achieve. So looking back, yeah, I'm somewhat envious, somewhat nostalgic for that kind of feeling. It kind of heightened other things. Like you go to see a movie, for example, that 1 week out of 3 when you're healthy enough to, and it's really kind of a special thing. And nowadays, you just go to see a movie whenever you want, me now when I'm healthy. So there are things that I miss about it. I don't really miss some of the, side effects, living in a hospital room for 65 straight days, things like that. My hip was removed when I was 16, so all of the sports that I had mentioned being able to play, I couldn't play anymore. Probably for a decade, I was looking for that athletic competition I could succeed at. And I was signing books at this conference, and the night before there was a networking event. So I went, and there was a lot of displays up, and one of them was first descents. It caught my attention for 2 reasons. One, it was adventure trips like rock climbing, which I'd always been curious about, and it was free. That combination led me to apply immediately. And my first trip was in Moab, Utah, Memorial Day weekend, 2012, a little over a year ago. And that athletic competition was back for me. This is the one sport that I could really succeed at, as hard as it is to believe, because when you think rock climbing, you think risk and maybe falling, but you fall very lightly. I can baby my vulnerable hip the whole time. And I had compensated with my lack of hip with upper body strength, so I was really capable of rock climbing pretty well. So it was amazing to get that thing back that I had lost for so long. And I never would have done it without first descents. It was scary at first. Of course, for 12 years or 11 years, I guess, I had babied my hip to the point where I had never tripped. I've never fallen in 11, 12 years, despite I don't know how many drunken blackouts. It's just constantly in my subconscious. I don't take a step without knowing where I'm stepping. It's kind of a lot of mental energy, actually. So yeah, that first time was pretty scary, thinking, how's this going to work with my hip? But once I got that first one out of the way, it was all uphill. Before first descents, I had never embraced the cancer community. I actually pushed them away. This was part of my survival mechanism. I didn't want to be a part of it. I thought I was this superhuman, didn't need it. And then I get to first descents, and we're all cancer people, as I called it. And it happened to be the most fun week of my life. And we were able to joke about everything. So it definitely changed my approach to cancer community. I totally embrace it now, thanks to first descents. And I especially embrace the first descents community, because we are the coolest of the bunch. Scooter, one of my guides, when I got to the airport, I was actually, I made everyone late. Nobody seemed to mind. And he said immediately, well, you need a nickname. What's your nickname? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, a lot of people tweak their first names, like Amy became Amesta the Gangsta. Wayne became Lo Wayne. But I didn't want to just use part of my real name, Benjamin, or Ben, which is way too blunt. So I thought, well, I don't have a left hip, might as well go by hippie with a Y. Not I-E, hippie, H-I-P-P-Y. You can do variations, I'll accept hipster or hip or hiptastic, just not hippie I-E. Now, I actually made a symbol of my nickname. It's just hippie spelled out, but when the Y, you know, it kind of looks like a pelvis and then a leg. Well, if you think of the leg as two legs, and I cross out the left side of the pelvis because I have none. So it's
That's awesome.
it's kind of awesome.
Kind of awesome. Kind of sort of rad.
It's a little better than Prince. The day my mom told me I had a tumor, I rushed away to squash tears I thought were coming. They didn't, but I cried the next day, kind of forced it. It had been years since I cried, so I felt really awkward. And so voluntarily I stopped, and I thought, sick kids would need to cry. I don't need to cry, therefore I'm not a sick kid. And I vowed never to cry again. And that was the moment that this superhuman feeling was born. And it just accelerated from there for various reasons. It continued because I survived with it, and I don't think I could ever give it up. I know I could never give it up. It's always going to be this part of me. Since I wrote the book, I started speaking to groups and visiting cancer patients for the first time, and I realized how rewarding it was. And then that combined with First Descents made me really embrace this cancer community. So some of the rules that had guided me before, like no complaining, which encompassed I could never talk about cancer, well, now I have to use loopholes around these rules because I kind of have to talk about cancer sometimes. So there's always going to be this tug of war between my survival mechanism and wanting to live a normal, healthy life. And I accept that sometimes they're going to bash into each other. I'll just take it one at a time.